It seemed like early on the defense was winning the day out there. What did you see?
I mean, you got to go back and watch, but definitely a little bit the energy there at the beginning. We try to go ones on twos, kind of start with, get a little momentum going. I don't make it easy on anybody. The offense gets, maybe a pass interference or something, you bring it back and you make it 3rd and 10. Just want to put them in situations that they got to react, they got to think, they got to be able to handle some adversity and some emotion, especially when they're really tired. And this is almost 10 straight days. I know we had a day off in there, but 10 practices where you're banging pretty hard. So the biggest thing I wanted to try to do is challenge them mentally when this time where they're kind of beat up and wore out a little bit. So this scrimmage wasn't more so to say who wins. It was how can we put pressure on both sides and see how they react.
But you're now under 3 weeks from the opener. Are these guys getting eager to get out here for the real deal?
That's the tough thing in college. Is there is no scrimmage. There is no other team that can come in and work with you. You hit the same guys over and over and over again. You did it in spring ball and you do it again in fall camp. After about 10, 12 practices, you got to get kind of creative. Not that they don't love to compete, not that they can't put the ball down and do that, but you can't do that every single day. So I wish we had a different system or some way, somehow you could get a preseason or even bring a team into practice with you, but you got to find a way to make yourself better in these times, in these situations.
At what point do you want your guys to start getting excited for the opener? At what point do you want them to start?
Not yet. Not yet. I mean, I just tell them, keep reminding them to trust us. Trust us. We got a plan. We'll put the plan in place. We'll have you ready for week 1. There's no doubt. We obviously know that we have a different, kind of opening. I don't just mean opening first 2 games. I mean opening 6. So we got to be a little bit smarter about what it is that we're doing. But this isn't the time yet. This is the time when you really kind of break guys down and see how they not just handle the tough times and when they're sore, but also the mental side of things. So we learn a lot more even about our guys, not just how they can run the football and catch the football, but how they can react and do some things when it's really difficult. Next week's gonna be good because we'll get some 90-some degree heat and add another little element to our challenges.
You finished last year ranked in the AP top 25 and 24. Are you curious to see if you guys will be ranked when the AP poll comes out?
No, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it, but I know our guys do, and it's not something that, I want the recognition for them, for what it is that they've done. But the reality is, it's talking points, whether it's positive or negative, you got to be able to handle it, you got to be able to continue to move on. We understand that, way we played last year and the things that we did, it got noticed, and when we walk into that first game, will have been noticed a little bit different, and we got to expect some different things, not just the first week, but really the first 6.
What do you think is the next level of Desmond's game? What do you want to see him improve upon this year?
I think I want Desmond to be Desmond, and I think that's probably one of the more difficult things. He is a perfectionist. He wants it all, and he wants it all now, which I love. So it's one of those guys you kind of got to work the other way and say, hey, you got to be able to take some of these little steps and understand that you got us out of a lot of situations last year, not because you knew exactly what you were doing, but because you played and you reacted and you did things that you naturally can do. And don't think that everything's got to be so cerebral and everything's got to be, on point and perfect. Sometimes, just your ability to create and still keep that aggressive nature, to not be worried about being perfect. I think that's the next step for him. Not, hey, how high can you go and where's the next level for you, but more so, can you handle the situations and still be yourself? Because who he is what we really need.
Are you encouraged by Metz and his development these first 2 weeks?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a big day for Metz. The coaches kind of walk off the field a little bit. Not that it's a full scrimmage. I mean, next week we'll have a full scrimmage. This is a kind of a modified thing, but it's a time where we actually walk away and see how they can kind of go from play to play. You don't have a coach come back out there and kind of remind you of what you did. And I will go up and evaluate, but I watch body language, I watch demeanor, and I know that's a tough thing for some young guys when something doesn't go perfect. But that's where you see his growth. He's obviously growing as a football player, but can he handle 40-some thousand people in here on a Thursday night and 100-some thousand the next weekend? That's going to be a big step.
You're good? You good? You talked about the evaluation being a part of this. Was there any areas that you're specifically trying to key in on, or are you just trying to get?
No, I mean there was a few things right off the bat. The tackles were a big deal, not just Metz, but Vinny McConnell and Harper. Those 3 guys that took a lot of reps today was probably one of the number 1 things I wanted to see. I wanted to see how our inside guys would do, because I really do believe in our our inside offensive line, interior of our offensive line. I wanted to see if those guys could hold up. We do a lot of things up front, but can they actually hold a point when the time comes? So that, and then I wanted to evaluate what our guys on the outside could do. We've got some guys that are dinged up, and Alec Pierce, who's doing a great job for us, didn't get to go today, but we really wanted to kind of see, could those guys on the outside provide a little something, a little spark, a little momentum, a little energy, that it's not just out of Desmond and Mike Warren.
On the opposite side, the interior defensive lines, obviously a lot of new guys in there. How do you feel like they're doing?
I was really high in the first 10 practices here. I want to go back up here and watch this today. But their ability for what we try to talk about is to have 1s and 1Bs, I think that might be where we might be more solid than any place else. It's just not saying they're Cortez and Cope. I'm not trying to put them in those categories yet, but their ability to be 1 and 1B, meaning if guys each play 40 plays a game, they're going to be a lot different, especially towards the end of that game. And I think that where we're coming with those guys is what I like.
So maybe no one's separated themselves there, but not in a bad way.
And that's what I think the idea is, that healthy competition that I don't know. There's guys that go out there with the first group. I'm not saying Elijah and Jabari haven't maybe separated themselves in a little ways, but Brooks and Brown are right there behind them. And I think that's what gives us a chance to really kind of be solid down the middle.
Has Deshaun Martin entered his name into that mix a little bit?
You know what? With some of the nicks and bruises and some of that trying to develop the 1As and 1Bs, it's given a lot of those younger guys to go with the 2s a chance. That's what today was about, is to find out who can we, if you're going to be in there with the 2s, means they're going to count on you. We're going to count on you. You're a 1B. We kind of believe in you. You're a 2 now. We got to find out what you can do, and we can't wait till Thursday night. So there's a lot of guys that are out there with the 2s that are trying to find a way to say, hey, am I going to have a role on Saturdays for this team?
You can kind of get lost in this stuff with the kicking competition. I think everyone hit today. Do you like what you're seeing from them?
Yeah, they have done a good job. I mean, it's a never-ending process, and I don't want to speak too soon. To be honest with you, I couldn't tell you who separated themselves there too, but that's a good thing. Now we're going to have to make some decisions coming down this next week and put a little bit more pressure on them. But I think the team is noticing those guys and what it is that they do when they get stuck in those positions right there.
Are things slowing down at all for those young corners?
I don't know. I mean, I would say yes, but I mean they're in there with the 1s a lot. This day 10 for those guys, I think, is where to me you saw a little. We don't do a great job every day of seeing the flags come out, and then all of a sudden you come out here with some real officials, and you see the guys that panic a little, especially those young guys today, and way too much grabbing. And I think that's what you want to see is when the lights go on and you come in here. I know they can do it. Will they panic? Will they start to go away from the fundamental things and put us in a situation where you can't panic, you can't bail, you can't just grab? You're never going to get any better, and we're not going to be successful that way.